Nobody warns you how weird money feels in your 20s. You go from having almost no income to suddenly having real paychecks and a debit card that actually works. But you also get hit with rent, deposits, furniture, food, student loans, and the pressure to have a life at the same time. It's the first decade where you have freedom but not much margin. And that combo is exactly what banks, apps, and advertisers are built to exploit. Most people don't destroy their finances with one huge mistake in their 20s. They get trapped by a bunch of small, normal decisions that quietly lock in a lifestyle they can't really afford. This video is about those traps, the ones that seem harmless when you're 23 and painful when you're 33. If you can spot them early, you don't need to be perfect with money. You just need to avoid the handful of decisions that make everything harder. My name is Yahya, and I make videos that break down money the way it actually shows up in real life. Numbers, psychology, and systems you can copy. If you want your 20s to put you ahead instead of behind, subscribe. And if this video helps you dodge even one trap, give it a thumbs up. The first trap hits the day your income goes up for the first time. You get your first real job, or a promotion, or a better contract. Overnight, your brain goes, "Finally, I can breathe. I deserve nicer things now." So rent goes up a bit. You stop checking prices as closely. You eat out more, upgrade your wardrobe, maybe add a gym that actually has towels. None of those choices are wrong by themselves. The trap is that your spending grows at the same speed as your income, or faster. Instead of having a gap you can use to build savings or investments, everything new that comes in immediately gets assigned a job. Quick reality check. Think back to your very first paycheck. How much were you making then versus now? Has your savings rate actually changed? Or did your life just get slightly more expensive at every upgrade? Lifestyle creep is sneaky because it feels like progress. You're not wasting money, you're just living slightly nicer. But 10 tiny upgrades can silently absorb hundreds per month. The fix isn't never upgrading your life. It's making sure every raise triggers a rule like, I'll keep half for lifestyle and half becomes permanent savings or investing. Without that rule, almost nobody escapes this trap. The second trap shows up as convenience. Credit cards, store cards, pay in 4 buttons on every checkout page, zero interest offers. At first, it feels like a safety net. I'll put it on the card and pay it off next month. Then an emergency hits, or you forget, or interest kicks in. And suddenly the safety net is charging you 20% a year for the privilege. Buy now, pay later is especially dangerous in your 20s because it separates the purchase from the pain. You don't feel like you're spending $200. You feel like you're spending $50 4 times. So you do it 3 or 4 times in a month, and suddenly you've committed your next 3 paychecks. Mini example. If you carry a $1,500 balance at 22% interest and only pay the minimum, you can easily end up paying hundreds extra and carrying that balance for years. That's money future you needed for moving out, emergencies, or investing. The rule here is simple. Credit cards are tools, not extra income. If you can't pay it off in full next month, pretend the card doesn't exist. Use them for rewards if you're disciplined, but don't use them to inflate your lifestyle. Trap number 3 is death by 1,000 cuts. Streaming services, music, cloud storage, pro versions of apps, food delivery passes, game subscriptions, monthly boxes, plus little daily treats. Individually, nothing is crazy. $9.99 here, $14.99 there, 5 coffees or late-night orders. But because the amounts are small and automatic, your brain treats them as nothing. Meanwhile, your bank account treats them as gone. Take 10 seconds and count your active subscriptions in your head. If you can't name all of them, you're almost definitely paying for something you forgot about. Studies on young adults show that untracked small spending is a major driver of feeling broke, even with decent income, because it eats the margin without creating any sense of where the money went. The fix is not cutting every joy out of your life. It's doing a 30-minute subscription audit a few times a year. List every recurring charge. Ask, if I had to sign up for this again today, would I? Cancel anything that doesn't get a confident yes. That alone can free $50 to $200 a month, which is the difference between I can't save and I'm actually building something. Trap number 4, the new car and phone upgrade trap. This trap is simple, putting depreciating stuff on top of thin finances.
You graduate, get a job, and the first big move is often a new car or a phone upgrade on an expensive plan. The car payment feels normal because everyone has one. $350, $450, sometimes $600 a month. Same with the phone. $40 plan becomes $90 plus with device payments, just for now. The problem isn't owning a car or a good phone. It's that in your 20s, those payments usually become your biggest monthly line items after rent, and they don't build wealth. While you're paying hundreds a month for things that decline in value, you convince yourself you can't afford to invest $150. Compare it. If you invest $300 a month from age 22 to 32 at a modest 7% average return, you end up with roughly $51,000. That's 1 decade of your car payment turned into a down payment or a serious cushion. The rule here: in your 20s, lean toward reliable and cheap for cars, and choose phone plans based on function, not flex. You can always upgrade later once your savings rate is healthy.
Trap number 5. No emergency buffer. Constant resets. This one might be the most frustrating trap. You finally manage to save a little. You get to $500, maybe $1,000. Then your car breaks, or you need dental work, or you have to move apartments and suddenly need deposit money. Boom, back to zero. Researchers and banks see this pattern all the time. Young adults who start saving get hit with a surprise and then stop because what's the point if life just keeps taking it away? What's really happening is this. With no emergency fund, every problem is a full reset. With even a tiny emergency fund, the same problem becomes a speed bump. Quick picture. Imagine two 25-year-olds both hit with a $600 car repair. One has $0 saved. They put it on a card. Now they have debt and stress. One has $1,000 in emergency cash. They pay it, drop to $400, and spend a few months rebuilding. Same event, completely different long-term impact. Your first financial goal in your 20s should not be get rich. It should be never get fully knocked back to zero again. That's what a basic emergency fund does.
Trap number 6. I'll invest later when I have more. This trap sounds responsible. You tell yourself, once I'm making more, then I'll start investing seriously. Right now, it's not enough to matter. The data says this is one of the most expensive beliefs you can hold in your 20s, because time is the only advantage you absolutely have, and older people absolutely don't. Investing $100 a month from 22 to 32 at 7% is not glamorous, but by 32, that's about $17,000. If you never add another dollar, that can grow to around $130,000 by 62 just sitting there. If you wait until 32 to start and invest the same $100 a month until 42, same 10 years of deposits just later, you end up with less than half of that at 62. Simple rule. If you can afford streaming, coffee, and takeout, you can afford at least $25 to $50 a month into a low-cost index fund or retirement account. Start tiny. Let the habit exist. Size can increase later. Later is how most people lose their time advantage. Trap number 7. Letting social media design your life. Your 20s are the decade where you're most influenced by what everyone else seems to be doing. Trips, brunch, concerts, fashion, tech. You're not just buying things. You're trying to buy a feeling. I'm keeping up. I'm not falling behind my friends. Social media makes this worse by showing you the highlight reel of people who are often playing by completely different rules. Higher income, parents helping, debt you don't see, or just curated angles. The trap is that your spending decisions stop being anchored to your numbers and start being anchored to other people's aesthetic. Before you buy something big for the vibe, ask, if Instagram didn't exist, would I still want this as badly? Sometimes the answer is still yes, but being honest about why you want it helps you make fewer flex purchases that you regret when rent is due. Trap number 8. Future me will figure it out. The last trap is not a purchase. It's an attitude. I'll get serious about money later. Right now, I'm just trying to survive. I'll learn investing when I have real money to invest. Future you is treated like a superhero with unlimited discipline and income. Today you is treated like a side character. But the research is brutal. People who build any kind of basic plan in their 20s, even a rough one, end up with significantly better financial outcomes than people who wait until their 30s or 40s to care. Not because the plan is perfect,
because the plan keeps them from sleepwalking into the traps we just talked about. Can you answer these 3 questions right now? Roughly how much do you spend in a typical month? How much do you save or invest in a typical month? What are you aiming for in the next 5 years financially? If not, that's the real trap. You're driving with the lights off.
Let's turn this into something you can actually use. Here's a simple 20s anti-trap checklist you can screenshot or write down. 1. Half-raise rule. Whenever your income goes up, commit at least half of the increase to saving or investing. The other half can upgrade your lifestyle. 2. No balance rule. Credit cards are paid in full every month. If you can't, you pause all new card spending until they are. 3. Subscription audit rule. Every 3 months, list your subscriptions and cancel anything you wouldn't pay for again today. 4. Cheap and reliable rule. Cars and phones in your 20s should be chosen for reliability and low monthly cost, not status. 5. 3-month cushion goal. Your first big money goal? Build and protect an emergency fund worth 1 to 3 months of basic expenses. No investing until this exists. 6. Minimum invest rule. No matter how small, set up an automatic monthly investment, even if it's just $25. Habit equals amount. 7. Social filter rule. Before big lifestyle purchases, ask, if nobody saw this, would I still want it? 8. Simple plan rule. Write a 1-page money plan. Your current monthly spending, your current monthly saving or investing, 1 12-month goal, debt, savings, or investing. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be slightly less trappable than the average 20-something. Every trap you avoid is a raise you gave to your future selves. If this helped you spot even one trap you're currently in, or one you can now avoid, give this video a like. It helps it reach more people in their 20s who never get this kind of breakdown. And if you want more straightforward videos about money, traps, and systems you can actually follow, subscribe. New videos every week. I'll see you in the next one.